Hi everyone, and welcome to the course of Machine Learning with Python. And here is Suti, your course instructor for this particular course, and I will be explaining you about the whole course today and what are the plans and how the course will work and what you will learn at the end of the day from this particular course. Okay, so one by one we will be going to each and every point, and we'll try to understand that what is machine learning and what are the types of problem in machine learning that we will be addressing. Okay, so this is me. I'm working as the lecturer in the School of Coding and Computing at Prudence College, Dublin, and I will be helping you with all the study materials and the course content, and you can directly mail to me or we can have chat, one-to-one chat as well. So we will be very much connected to each other, and we will keep on working on this particular course so that you can understand the course in the best way possible. Okay, and we will not focus on learning definitions, but rather than we will be focusing on understanding practical problems and how to approach them in a more general way, and without learning too much of definitions we'll try to practically solve those problems using coding. We will of course use Python over here, otherwise we can use R as well. So but Python is pretty simple for our task, so we will be using Python in this particular tutorial. Apart from teaching in Prudence, I am also doing my PhD at Maynooth University, Ireland. I work as a tutor and demonstrator in the department. I take classes for masters and bachelor students, and also sometimes tutorial classes for students. So I had been working as assistant professor back in India at an engineering college, and I did my masters and bachelor's back in 2017. I completed my masters, and presently I'm working on robot human synchronization for musical performance. It's like a robot trying to synchronize with other humans to perform music in the same time. So it's a time dependent and real time, designing real time algorithms which will help musicians to play with a robot, and the robot will try to understand. So the problem in this kind of scenario is, if you consider music, two humans playing music with each other, they not only communicate with each other via audio or listening, but there are also some non-verbal communications which are going on, and that's the point of my research, like how to understand those cues and get those timings done, from the body sway and stuff like that, and trying to predict what is the rhythm and how should the robot react to that. So it's a pretty fascinating topic, and yeah, in this kind of scenario we don't know what is going to come, and we need to predict what will going to happen, what is going to happen. So this kind of scenario we need to use machine learning or deep learning approaches to solve, because we can't define the features, or we can't say that this kind of response you react like this kind of response it's all instantaneous, and you can't really define the circumstances. Everything is everything can be random. So the machine should try to learn things and try to react according to them. So to understand this particular machine learning, let's talk about this example where two rats were taken for this experiment, and they were given a reward for each time they put the ball into the basket. So they started understanding that this is my basket, and if I put over there, it will my trainer will give me food. So this kind of reward, or putting some weights into some kind of reward value to some kind of activity, it's a part of machine learning. So this is the fundamental idea of machine learning. Just imagine a child, how he learns from observing the whole atmosphere. He starts seeing the surroundings, he starts reacting to the surrounding and getting connected to the people around him or her, and starts learning from them. He starts predicting things like, if I go there I will fall down, if I do that, if I cry, then I will get some attention from my parents. So this kind of small behavioral change are taking place in our brain. That's how machine is also taking same kind of learning using statistical models. Okay, in our case it's like the brain who is doing all the statistical modeling inside our brain. But in case of machines, we need to find some formula, or some kind of statistical models which will implement the similar patterns into those activities, and the machine starts learning from them. Okay, so this is a pretty fascinating example, and I hope you enjoy this image. Okay, so if you see the automation or the machine learning approaches, it had been a long time since the enigma machine was invented, where it tries to automate the way of encryption, and it was said that it can break any kind of encryption technique. So this kind of automation, where we don't tell the machine what to do, the machine thinks that I need to do this for this. So this kind of automation was there since long time, but nowadays data is available everywhere. So if you have the mobile phone, it's transmitting a lot of data to the servers, so the data problem is gone now. That's why machine learning and deep learning is booming into the market, and many data scientists and people with machine learning knowledge are getting jobs and working on this particular fascinating platform, so that they can create their own models and deploy them and earn money for businesses. So even government, healthcare, local businesses, everybody is using machine learning technologies for enhancing their performance and for better outreach to the ordinary people. Okay, so a couple of example is shown in the slide, like the handwriting recognition system over here, the pose estimation. So the handwriting recognition system tries to recognize what we have written. We can type, or we can write into the pad, and anything we can write, and then it starts to predicting, because each and every person has different handwriting. So it starts to predicting that what the person has had written, and it starts saying that this is that particular character, this is that particular letter. And even understanding images, like is it a cat or a dog. So we will be learning all this in details in our classes when we start the classes. So it's pretty fascinating. And then the pose estimation, whether a person is sitting, whether a person is dancing, whether he's jumping, whether he's walking. So this kind of prediction models are done by machine learning. And also the last example, where I showed stock prediction. This is very vital for business people when they start predicting what will be the sale, and how will be their business after a few next month or next year, and what should they buy, what should they don't buy. And this kind of modeling can be done using machine learning. So overall machine learning will be very useful for every people to support their future business or any kind of dealing. Okay, so in this particular slides, we will be talking about the learning objective, the course content, the course structure, the assessment, and what are the career opportunities. So without any further delay, let's start with the learning objective. So this course doesn't require any prerequisites. Just any person can learn this particular concepts of machine learning, because we focus on understanding how to code. The first problem is logical thinking. Suppose if I tell you to add two numbers, that's a pretty simple operation, right? If I give you 4 and 5, you can just add and say 9. Okay, but if you think a computer, how does the computer add two numbers? It's very complex. let me give you an example. If I say you are a computer and try to imagine that you need to add two numbers, what is the first thing you will say? Give me two numbers, right? I give you 5 and then I just wait. You can't do the addition, right? Next you ask me for the second number. If I give a particular alphabet called A, doesn't make sense. You will say me, give me a number, not A. So these kind of small problems can be faced by the computer. So we need to learn this kind of, we need to understand how our brain solve these problems, how brain understand this problem and sequentially does those operations. So once we get these two numbers, we start adding them, 5 and 4, okay, it's 9, and my brain stores that particular result 9 inside our brain before telling to anyone else. So it confirms itself that it is 9, okay, not 10, it's 9. Okay, now let me speak. So this 4 steps: first the input, the first number, input the second number, then add the two numbers and store it, and then say the number. So these 4 steps are very important, but we don't think too much about what our brain is doing. So this kind of approach, we will be training ourselves to learn, we will be trying to master ourselves to break down into simple processes and then try to make a bigger logic or bigger algorithm means the sequence of statements. So programming language is just a language. If you know the sequence of writing the words or writing the sentence, the programming language is 50% learned. So you can transfer from C++ to C to Java to Python, any language, once you know the programming language or you understand how things work. So we will be focusing basically on how to think like a programmer, or how to think like how our brain thinks, okay? And once we are able to do that, then we will be learning the various object-oriented programming. So what is object-oriented programming? If we say in ancient time, people used to drink water using their hands like this, and after a certain age they started using objects to drink water. Now we have fancy glasses and tumbler, jugs or water bottles, so to drink water for the same purpose, right? So this kind of small functions of the hand can be replicated by better objects. So this kind of approach is similarly there in the programming language, and we will be learning how to use this object oriented programming approach to solve a problem, okay? So if you need to add two numbers, we can do it. And if the numbers are float, or in some decimal point like 5.5 plus 4.5, so what is the sum? So 0.5 is a float number, okay? And this kind of things we will be learning and will be understanding, so that we can solve real life problems, and you can use other solved problems and try to make it better, okay? Then third stage, we will be understanding how to handle data, okay? When we talk about machine learning or deep learning, we have to know how to handle this enormous amount of data. So if I tell you, let's go to Dublin, okay, from a place X, and I say, you ask me what is the way of Dublin, and I say sun rises in the east. Then I say you turn right for Dublin. So the first sentence, sun rises in the east, has no meaning, right? So this is data, but it is not an information. So we need to exclude all the unnecessary data from our to get the information, and then we need to proceed. So we must know how to handle this unnecessary data and remove the errors or remove the redundancy problems, and try to get the pure data and train our model or train our brain to solve those particular problems. So we will be understanding how to handle those data and visualize like what is the data saying, and how can we use that data to obtain some result. So those things we'll be learning in this particular course. And the last thing are the machine learning techniques. So we will be applying many of the machine learning techniques and see that in what scenario we can use which kind of machine learning approaches to solve this kind of particular kind of problems. Okay, so this is the learning objective of this particular course. So the first content I already discussed is the working with Python. So first we need to know how to work with Python. So in our study we won't use any other language, we will be using the Python language. So we will be trying to solve each and every problem using Python language. Okay, and we will be familiarizing ourselves with some terms and terminologies which will be used very often for Python, with Python language, to add numbers, to call functions. Function means any type of operations, we'll call them and how to use them. And we will just try to get familiarized with Python codes and symbols, so that we understand how the programming language works and how to solve these particular problems. Okay, the next thing is handling of the data. I already said we will be using different libraries to handle those data, like NumPy, Pandas. They are all used to solve to read huge amount of data, lakhs of entries, and then try to understand or try to visualize things, so that we can use them for making our model learn each and every problem. So the third one is the machine learning techniques. So we will be focusing on classification and regression problems, and in the next few slides I will be discussing about the different types of, means where we use classification and regression. So let's move on to the next slide. The course content will be, the first working with Python will be of three classes, a total of 6 hours. Then we have handling of data visualization, again for 6 hours, three classes. And lastly we will focus on machine learning techniques, that will have four classes of eight, in total 8 hours. Okay, so the total course content is of 20 hours, and you will get some of the assignments and quizzes. So we will be discussing about them as well, and you have to solve them. So the total course content timing will be, duration will be around 30 hours. Okay, now in working with Python, we subdivided the whole definition into three parts. The first is understanding the concept and the definitions without mugging up them. Okay, we don't mug up any definitions, we just try to understand, and once we understand we can write definitions, right? So we focus on understanding the definitions and the concept, and then we learn to write or plan how to write codes. Once we can plan how to write codes, then writing the codes is pretty simple. Just like the sequence I told, take first number, take second number, then add the two numbers and save it, and then print it. So I will be giving you a short example shortly, and you can see that particular example, and you can understand that how to write the first Java code. And it's very simple. So after understanding the logic and the algorithm, we will be starting with loops and conditions, like if this happen we will do this kind of activity, and if that happens we'll do other kind of activity. So, and also loop is like repeating same line of statements many times. So this kind of things we will be learning, so that we can work with Python. We can, in future, if you want to work with other programming languages, these are the pillars, the basic pillars of programming. Okay, so we'll be focusing on them individually, one by one, and we'll be practicing a lot of examples, so that every idea is distilled clear. Okay. Okay, so let me show you an example of how to start your first Python code just to print hello world. Okay, so the first thing is we will be using Collab, Google Collab, which is a platform to do Python coding on Google server. So we'll just type Collab, and yeah, in Google we get this particular Google Collab. Just click over here, it will open a new window, and just click on new notebook. Okay, it will take some time to load, and we will get a new notebook. This is the place where we will type the code, and this will stay online and you can use from anywhere you want. So basically we don't depend upon the machine configuration or problems related to the hardware or the software to your PC. So it can be accessed by iOS, Linux or Windows. Everything is online, so it's very flexible for us to do. Okay, so let's type sample code. Okay, so first code is sample code. I just change the name over here and click over here inside. Now we have this. For example, I need to print hello world. Okay, that's the first code. Okay, hello world. So I will just write print. So these are the syntax of Python. And inside this we'll just write hello world. Okay, now to run this particular code, there is a play button over here. Okay, before playing the before clicking the play button, I will just click on connect to connect this particular page to the server, and we get some kind of RAM and a hard disk to our particular code. So you can see over here it's getting connected, initialized, and then connected. Okay, so we get a RAM, we get a disk, and this is the disk space. So this is just like a computer. Okay, now to run this code, we just press over here in the play button and see it's printing hello world. Okay, if I want to print my name, so I will just simply write if I want to print my name, I will just simply write print, and I will type my name, and then I will just run this button over here. It's printing my name. Okay, so this is a very easy tool where we can just upload whatever we need to print, and it will print exactly in the same way. Okay, so this is the very first Python code which we will be trying to write. Okay, after that, suppose I need to add two numbers. Okay, if I need to add two numbers, what is the logic? First we need to take one number, right? Then we need another number, right? So just write take another number. After taking two numbers, what we need to do? We need to add both of them, add them, and save them, right? Save the result, maybe save the result. Okay, and then we need to print the result, right? So this is how our brain adds to number, right? When I give you a number 2, then you keep on waiting for the other number 3. So when I give you 3, so you need to add 2 and 3, and you add them and store it inside your brain and think twice before speaking out the result, right? And that 2 and 3 is 5. Okay, now let's break it down into the coding language. So I will just bring another code block from here. So if you want to add some text, you can use this one. If you want to write some codes, we will using this one. Okay, so next, if you want to code this one, the first step is take the first number, right? So I will just write, forget about the syntaxes, we will discuss them in details in the later classes, just giving you an overview of how the coding is done. Okay, the first thing is we write over here, for example, we store the first number inside a. So I will just write it will take an integer number, and it will take an input from the user, and it will tell the user to enter the first number. Okay, so the user will give the first number and it will store inside a. After that, I will just I'm a lazy guy, so I will just write second number and b. So the first number is stored inside a and the second number is stored inside b. Okay, if I want to print both of a and b, I will just write print within brackets a, print within brackets b. Okay, so let's run this one. Okay, so it says enter the first number and it keeps on waiting. Okay, and I give maybe 3, Then it asks for the second number. I give 2. Then it displays A and B. So A is 3 and B is 2. Okay. After that, I need to add the numbers, right? And store them. So the third step was add them and save them. How to add the numbers? So it will be A plus B, right? If we need to add two numbers, we need to write A plus B. And if I want to save that number inside something means over here the variables. So I will store that inside C, okay? So A, B and C. Next, if I run this, so A and B, it will add them. So the value of A was 3, the value of B was 2. It will add them, and C, let's now print the value of C to check what is the sum. So I will just print the value of C and we get 5, okay? So maybe we can just try with another number, maybe 5, and then we give 6. So these are the output of this. These are the values of A and B, and we add them and then we print it. So the print is 11, okay? The sum is 11. So I guess you got a fair enough idea about how to start the basic coding, and we will be going through each and every things in details about how the things work and how we need to think like this, you know, the sequence, what we call it as algorithm. So we need to decide about how things work. And the good thing is, once you are done, you can just click over here on share, and you can directly share the code with me, or the person you're working with, and they can see your code. The outputs will be saved and everything will be there intact, and you can work from anywhere in this world. So you can work from your mobile, you can work from your tablet. So it depends. So this is a very handy tool, and we will be also learning to upload our code in GitHub. So GitHub is one of the repository where all the codes are stored, and we will be learning about how to use this one in proper way. It's like a Facebook for coders, okay? So we will be having an account, and you will be start uploading your things, and many companies keep on seeing those details of GitHub, how you perform in GitHub and how much you are working. So this is one of my Fred, I think, yeah. So you can see his GitHub account. He has so many codes, and he's constantly working on these days. And these days I think he was taking rest because July and August, it's summertime. So yeah, this is amazing, and this is how you need to create your profile, so that if you apply for jobs, and you can say that these are the courses I have done, this is how I am working, and this is a great way, and we will be learning each and everything in details during our class session, okay? I hope the previous video made your idea very clear, and let's now focus on how to handle the data and what is data visualization. So we need to know how to work with huge number of data. It's not a small amount of data, so we need to know how to use huge amount of data and work with them, and also use other functions in our code, so that we don't need to write each and everything individually for our purpose. So we'll be knowing how to use other people code and use them in our code, so that our implementation is much faster and much better. So what are the latest libraries which are already in use, and we'll be using them for our particular purpose. And last, there is a data visualization. Once we get all those data read, we just need to visualize the data to understand that whether this data can solve our problem or not. If the data can't solve our problem, then it's of no use. So we need to understand that this data, whatever we have read, whatever we have worked with, can understand, or can we visualize them and figure out our problem and solve our problem, okay? So in the next slide, I will be discussing about machine learning techniques, and the techniques what we will be using to solve, okay? So there are two types of problems. There are many types of problem actually, but we will be focusing on the main two types of problem First one is the regression, and the second one is the classification. So what is a classification problem and what is a regression problem? Let me explain you in a more generic way. For example, if we have if you tell a child that if you jump from this kind of height you can fall and you can get yourself hurt. So the child knows two things: one is good, one is bad. So once he jumps from that particular height and he falls down, he gets a pain, he will never jump from there a second time. So this kind of activity where he learns that this is good and this is bad, and classifies each and every activity as positive or negative, or 1 or 0, whatever, or multiple problems, like if my friend goes I will go, otherwise I won't go. This kind of problem where people classify two particular two conditions are called classification problems. Okay. And the other example what we can take is, if if the child is not studying, the parents won't let him to play, so it's kind of regression problem. So he starts studying very hard and shows his parents that I'm studying very hard, and the parents become happy and they say, okay, now you can go. So this they do over time, to show their parents that I'm working very hard and to achieve their particular goal. So this kind of trend, or where he imagines what will be the next, and what should I do to surpass all these hurdles and go to play. So this kind of problem is a regression problem, where there is no classes, but he knows how, if I do like this, if I do the activities in this sequence, I can approach this particular problem, and I know the trend of my the behavioral pattern of this particular people, and I will act according to that. So these kind of problems are regression problems, and we will be seeing a different kind of regression problems, and try to solve them in our course content. Okay. So over here we can see example, the classification problems are they divide each and everything into two different class or multiple classes, 10 class, 12 class, or whatever, but they divide each and everything into classes. Like for example, if we consider some problems, okay, I will be giving an example just after this slide, but it's just they try to divide each and everything into particular classes. For example, email spam. Okay. Suppose we receive many of the emails. Okay, and some of the emails are good, or it's ethical, or it's necessary to read those emails, and some of the emails are just spam emails, so we just ignore them. So understanding those kind of emails from the particular words used in the email is kind of classification problem. Again, the handwriting, handwritten digit recognition, the digit may look in different, in similar patterns you can see over here, and it can be anything, right? It can be anything. So this kind of patterns, understanding this kind of labels are classification problem. Again, with images, for example, if I say whether this image is of a bird or an animal, so this kind of problem are classification problem, where we're dividing into class, that if a particular organism have a feather, wings, then it's a bird, or otherwise it's not a bird. So in this kind of scenario, we say that these problems are classification problem. Again, another example, speech recognition, where the way I am talking, and the subtitle is getting automatically generated. So my accent is more towards Indian, so I need to select Indian accent, but many people can talk in different kind of accent, and they're close to each other but not same. So this kind of prediction, that particular word is close to this but it's not exactly this, so we can say, if you see the word previous to that, if you see the word after that, and we can say that the most probable word can be, X. So this kind of predictive models are done by, again, classification. I hope this kind of example are clear. Again, post estimation, whether a person is standing or setting DNA sequence, or identifying what kind of heart disease, tumor, whether the tumor is malignant or a normal tumor. So this kind of problems are solved using classification problems. Okay, so let's move on to the next part, that is regression problem. So regression problems are predictive problems, which I already said. The child, knows that if I study like this, I will be, getting a reward, and my mom will allow me to play, go for my game. So this kind of particular problems are regression problems. They are continuous, they can be continuous, and we need to predict what is going to happen next, and there is no accuracy in this. So in case of classification, we can directly compute the accuracy, whether the label has been correctly identified or not. But in this kind of cases, in regression, there is no accuracy. It's just this point can be close to, I can say that my mom can allow me to play, or where did it go? So, sorry, yeah, the my mom can allow me to play, or otherwise she can't allow me to play. It's just a prediction, or the thought that this can happen or this can't happen. So this kind of problem are regression problems, and we use root mean square error. We can see those, in details in our classes. Basically, this kind of regression problems, we will be dealing with them, and we will be trying to forecast stock prediction and house rent prediction. This all we do, in our real life, but in our minds. And this time we will be training the machine, the models or the machine, to learn from this kind of different kind of features, and we will see how our mind and the machine predicts, in a similar way, and they are true. Okay, so some of the real life scenario, or real life regression problems are stock prediction problems, room rent, climate change, musical beat prediction, weather forecasting, and even recently people are using COVID infection analysis for with different kind of regression techniques, so that they understand what should be what should the government do to stop the spread of the coronavirus. So this kind of real life problems can be solved using regression, and this is very useful in kind of predicting what is going to happen next. Okay, so the regression problems can be defined into time series problem, where time is an important factor to solve. Okay, the course will be in class, and also using virtual lectures. Due to the present corona scenario, everything has to be in a different online fashion, and we will be connecting in the best possible way, so that no student have any problem in understanding or taking the course during the course, and we will ensure that that's our promise. Okay, and we will be having 20 hours of lecture and 10 hours of assignments, so it's total 30 hours of whole module, and we will be learning a lot, and we will be enjoying a lot throughout the course. Okay, the assessment technique is the regular basis, so it's a daily assessment technique. So there will be a midterm quiz and a daily quiz, and also a project. So the project is basically, we thought of the project like it should be from your interest, not forcing into some project. So it will be your interest. We will be guiding you that how to solve and where to get the data from, and how, suppose you want to work with a video, you have interest towards video, so we will be allowing you, or we will be encouraging you to work on video datas and solve a particular problem in the video domain. and so this will help you in your field, rather than getting a generic idea, and when you face real life problems we can't solve. So this particular project, the idea of this particular project will be focusing on the practical problems, and mainly the practical domain in which you are working or you want to work. Okay, and there will be a daily quiz that to from the previous class, whatever you have learned, you have to you have to solve those problems, and there will be grading for them as well. And there will be a midterm quiz. This can be in the form of assignment or quiz, and there will be regular assignments that you need to submit, so that the learning process is continuous, and we keep on learning continuous. Otherwise the link can be broken, because many things will be new throughout this course, and we need to work very hard to make our brain work, or think in that pattern of where the programmer way of thinking. Okay, so the career opportunities, for career we will be supplying some of the questions which are normally asked, and we will be helping you with applying or working with GitHub, as I already showed you in the video. So these are the industrial standards, what the industry wants and looks into. So we will be trying to cover every module, and you can see, as the graph suggests, that the machine learning engineers or data science engineers or people with machine learning knowledge have a lot of job opportunities in the recent market, because everything is data dependent nowadays. And I hope this particular course will help you to get your desired job, and help you with understanding the programming approaches. If you want to transfer into some other programming domain like Java or whatever .NET, so it will help you in your future, because we will be we'll be trying to create the base of the programming language using Python language, of course, but we'll be trying to create a strong base in the way programmer thinks and the programming logic, which is very important. And 50% of the whole this particular IT industry is standing on understanding the logic and trying to write down algorithms by own and solve particular problems. Okay, so thanks for listening, and if you have any questions, any queries, just feel free to ask me. I'm there on the session. So yeah, most welcome, and have a nice day. Thanks.